Welcome to the 13th episode of United Talk, ladies and gentlemen. We just had a game against Fulham last evening, and we've got analysis and player performances reports of that, as well as news happening around the rest of the league and Europe, as well as a conclusion to our ongoing transfer feature, and a special player salute as well. So let's get started off with the Fulham game. Your thoughts, Annie?
Hey guys, a massive result for United, a massive 3 points. Fulham away, proving to be, as we predicted already, a completely different match to what it was at Old Trafford in the FA Cup. Fulham very strong at home, they have a great home record and tough to beat at Craven Cottage, and the match proved to turn out in that fashion. And I think I was really relieved with 3 points. Fulham had some chances of their own. I think some of our play was excellent going forward, especially in the first half. We hit the crossbar 3 times.
Yeah.
And in the end, I thought we deserved the 3 points. We held on, we defended really well, resolutely, which is surprising for us this season. Better in that regard, with more defenders coming back from injury. I think the team is really settling down at the back. And in the last few games have improved. And we had a clean sheet. So very pleased with 3 points, really.
Yeah, as you said, all in all, a good night, I think. Despite the light fail that happened around the 42nd minute, things weren't as dark as they seemed, and United ended up with the 3 points. As you said, the defense was, I think, incredibly. I think they played well, especially, I think, 2 games in a row now against Southampton, and now I thought the defense plays superbly, and I think with returning players, I think this could be United's season. I'm saying it right now, putting my hands up and saying this could be United's season. I'm feeling really good about this team, and based on last night's performances, I feel that this is a team that are championship winners. I genuinely believe that this United team can win.
I think that's a good point, because that was one of the performances that we've been looking all season for, the so-called champions performance, where you maybe in a tough away match, things are not really going your way, but you still manage to dig out the 3 points.
Yeah.
And Rooney's goal was quite brilliant. He's used the defender really well, curled the ball around him, and it was reminiscent actually of the goal that Cristiano Ronaldo scored in 2006-2007 season when we went to Fulham away. And it was a similar sort of it late in the match around the 80th minute, where he went on a run from the halfway line and curled it in from cutting in from the left. And that gave us a 1-0 victory that day, which was very crucial. And we went on to win the league, of course. So hopefully the same thing happens this season.
Yes, I think you're right about Rooney's goal. I think a moment of brilliance in what was a pretty end-to-end game, I thought. Lots of shots hitting the post, hitting the crossbar, some great saves from De Gea, great saves from Mark Schwarzer, especially from Patrice Evra early on. And I think all in all, I think 1-0 was the right result. I think either team could have won it, it could have been a draw, but it swung United's way in the end.
Absolutely. Who are your top 3 players from that game?
My top 3, difficult to say really. I really admired United's performance as a team, but there were some individual standouts. I think my top player for the game was Wayne Rooney. I thought he looked energetic throughout, as he always does. Scored the decisive goal with a bit of brilliant technique, which people tend to overlook given his physical gifts. People tend to overlook that he's actually a brilliant passer and striker of the ball.
Absolutely.
For my number 2, I'd have to go for Robin van Persie. I mean, he didn't get on the score sheet, but he did do what was expected of him. Held the ball well, worked hard, got into scoring positions and often into passing positions as well, particularly on both flanks. And all in all, I thought a decent game from RVP. The only thing lacking was a goal. And for my third, I'd have to give it to David De Gea. Lots of criticism from him, from United fans, people who are not United fans, people who don't know anything about football. Everyone is criticizing De Gea simply because he looks nervous, he looks scared. What do you expect? He's 21 years old. He's a kid in goalkeeping terms, he's a child.
Yeah.
And I think to put this much pressure on him from the get-go, I think he's done pretty well to deal with it. Still United's number 1 goalkeeper, and based on last night's performance, I'd say he could hold this position for many years to come.
Hopefully, and you make the right point about De Gea, coming to that. Like, I think Peter Schmeichel made a point about him that his mental strength is actually really admirable. The amount of criticism and the flack he's taken, as you said, to still keep going and keep making saves and keep trying to improve. That's really admirable. And he's in my top 3 as well, along with Rooney. I think Rooney was fantastic, as you said, great work, great. And went on to the left after Hernandez came on and still able to impact the game. 3 games in a row now that he scored.
Effective, yes.
Top player, I have to give it to Rio Ferdinand. I thought he led the defense superbly. He was first every ball. Vidic was not playing, and I thought Rio was commanding in the air, made some crucial headers, especially in the late stages when Fulham were pressing for the equaliser. I thought he had once again showed that when it comes to reading the game and leading the defense, Rio Ferdinand is still very important to United.
Yeah, I think it was difficult, really, as I said, to pick a top 3, and I think you're right about Rio Ferdinand. I really liked him and Johnny Evans in defense last night. I thought they both played extremely well, and you're right about Rio. What he doesn't have in physical traits he now makes up for in the know-how of the game, using his experience to his advantage, and still a top-class defender in the league.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to the rest of the league action, and very entertaining game at St James's Park, Newcastle versus Chelsea, finishing 3-2 to the host. What were your thoughts on that game?
Once again, real end-to-end game here, as the scoreline suggests. I think Chelsea on a slightly disappointing run of form, and Newcastle, playing not badly as of late, but they still have been performing below expectations this season. Yeah. And I think in the end, a very morale-boosting win for Newcastle. I think one of their French imports, Moussa Sissoko, scoring twice, and all in all, a great performance both from Sissoko and the team.
Yeah. And also, you have to give a lot of credit to Alan Pardew. Like, he's gone out in the transfer market. He's seen that obviously his team is struggling, and he's gone on. He's been brave, and he's got some signings in. They made an instant impact. They beat Aston Villa, and now they beat Chelsea.
Exactly, and
Sissoko 2 goals in his home debut. Fantastic.
And great signings at bargain basement prices. You look at Sissoko coming here for 2.5 million. That's unthinkable. I mean, any English player, especially a young upcoming English player, would probably be 4 or 5 times worth that amount, even if he doesn't play that well. And I think Pardew is doing fantastically in the transfer market, and Newcastle could be looking at a U-turn to the season. And also we had Everton versus Villa yesterday, and what do you make of that?
Well, again, as you said, end-to-end game, and Everton, I think, would be disappointed to drop points at home versus Aston Villa. Aston Villa, of course, trying every game is important for them. They're really struggling, and I thought their performance was actually pretty good, just like it was away at West Brom. Maybe playing better away from home, away from the fans. And Benteke again scoring twice, is a phenomenal talent, and he's in double figures now for the season.
Great player.
22, it's incredible. But Everton dug deep though, and they came back. Fellaini getting a second goal and the equaliser in stoppage time. But all in all, I think a disappointing result for Everton, and Villa will be quite pleased with their performance, if not the fact that maybe they conceded 2 points at the end by the equaliser. But definitely improvement in performance.
Definitely, I think based on this game, you would expect Villa to do better in the coming games. And you're right about Benteke. He's been brilliant this season, scoring against United as well in that 3-2 loss that they had. But all in all, I think Paul Lambert needs to get his team going, and I think based on last night's performances, you wouldn't bet on them getting relegated. I think they could escape relegation this season, and maybe build for next season then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alright, then we had action in the rest of Europe as well, including a rather disappointing result for Real Madrid in the Spanish La Liga. What happened there, Annie?
Real slipping again, this time at lowly Granada. Ronaldo own goal, of all the things concerning in defeat. His first own goal for Real Madrid actually, so
that's so.
Not something to be proud of. But again, I would say it's quite hard for Madrid and their players to motivate themselves in the league, because they're 15 points behind, and as anyone who follows La Liga and has a little idea about football knows, it's Barcelona's title to lose. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. And
definitely
very hard to motivate yourself to keep going from these kind of matches. And Madrid struggling in the league, and I mean, they did not have a single shot on target in the first half. In the second half, they had the best opportunities perhaps is when he threw Benzema and Gallion on. But again, failure to make an impact, and they lost the game, and now Barcelona with the chance to go 18 points ahead.
I read an incredible statistic that Ronaldo has scored 21 goals this season in La Liga. That's more than the entire Granada team put together.
Wow.
And I think if you look at Madrid's performance in the last game, I actually feel quite confident with United going in to play them. They were absolutely shocking, lacking any creativity, lacking any resolve. I think, as you said, no shots on target in the first half, which is unacceptable for a team with this kind of attacking, creative talent.
Yeah.
And I think Benzema getting the best opportunity of the game, I thought pretty much an open goal to shoot from, but then he missed. And very, very disappointing. And if Atletico Madrid win their game in hand, they'll be 7 points clear of Real Madrid. Not to mention, as you said, Barcelona might be 18 points clear.
Well, I definitely agree with you, but I also think that in a certain respect, we should, their league performances maybe do not match up to how they're actually going to perform the Champions League, because unlike perhaps United, who have a history of performing well in all competitions or not performing well in anything, Real Madrid perhaps can distinguish the competitions. I think they'll be very up for the Champions League match, because it's a glamorous tie against Manchester United, and all the players will be very well motivated for that. I think that performance levels would definitely increase. But they were sort of returning to a good patch of form. I thought when they beat Valencia in the cup, and at home as well in the league. and now again a disappointing result for them though.
Yeah, I think you're right about Real Madrid stepping up their game to a new level. I think also because that since the La Liga is gone, the Copa del Rey and the Champions League remain their only chances for silverware this season. So I think they'll be putting their all in, and I think the league is going to take a step back for them now in terms of priorities.
Definitely. Well, continuing on now, and we have a roundup now of our special feature, which for last month, which is the transfer window, and it's concluded, of course, a lot of last-minute deals which we need to discuss. First of all, Christopher Samba moving from Anzi to QPR for 10 million or 12.5 million.
Depending on add-ons and
Yeah.
whatnot.
And of course, massive signing for QPR. But what did you make of that?
I think, as you said, yes, a great signing for QPR. Samba's a defender with proven Premier League experience from his time at Blackburn. He's fast, he's strong, he's relatively skillful when it comes to defending, although with lapses in concentration now and then.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be a great signing for QPR. However, I'll go on record as to say that they have overpaid for him. Club record fee, I think, around £10.5 million, which was his release clause at Anji. So QPR paid up, and I've heard he's on £100,000 a week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Salary.
Insane amount of spending.
I think disgusting amount if you look at
They
it.
are going to do a Leeds and just drop down the divisions because there's no way they can sustain this amount of spending by being in the Championship.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much money you can put in.
Yeah. And also Willian moving from Shakhtar Donetsk to Anzi immediately investing some of that Christopher Samba money, 30 million, and of course he was a target for Chelsea for a long time, as a playmaker, but now moving to Anzi.
Yeah, I think it was a great signing for Anji. I think Willian is a top quality player. A bit surprising as to why he actually moved to Anji, because if you look at it, Shakhtar Donetsk are a great team. I remember I was talking about them earlier this season when they beat when they beat Chelsea.
Yeah.
Early on in the Champions League, and I really like that team. They've got quality players, they've got a great coach, they're dominating Ukrainian football, and it's a bit strange why Willian left. I mean, Shakhtar in the knockout stage of the Champions League. So if you look at it, he could get so much more experience playing for Shakhtar and helping the team evolve.
Yeah.
But money rules football, and as such, I think they'll be paying him a lot more at Anji.
Well, one man who is certainly willing to part with some of his money, David Beckham, St. David, donating his salary now from where PSG is where he's gone to charity in France. And what did you make of that? Good PR stunt or just good man, David?
It's a great PR stunt, both for David Beckham and for the club as well, I think.
Yeah.
The kind of player that David Beckham is, his game has never been about speed.
Yeah.
It's never been about physicality. Beckham's main asset is the fact that he can strike the ball as no other player can. Just absolutely whipping the ball in, great from set pieces. And actually, I think he could really help out Paris Saint-Germain. Maybe not as he would Manchester United back in the day, but definitely tutor the younger players, really provide a calming presence in the dressing room, and really just lend his experience. Because this is a team
also
that...
an important signing for the French league. I mean, of course, he's a massive name, and the League One is it's struggling a bit in terms of the quality of football. Zlatan, of course, is there, but can't do it all on his own, despite the fact that he might think he can. And I think the signing of Beckham is a boost to the league.
Yeah, as we said before, great PR stunt. Everyone wins from this deal.
Yeah.
Beckham wins as he gets to continue his career. Paris Saint-Germain wins as they'll be getting massive club shirt sales, massive club records with the number of people that'll be coming to watch the game. Yeah. And I think the League One as a whole also wins simply because they're getting superstars to come and play their football in their league.
Absolutely. On a couple of transfers left to discuss, we had Danny Graham moving to Sunderland from Swansea City for £5 million. And of course, he was edged out of the team by Michu and Pablo Hernandez, and not getting many chances to play at Swansea in the first team. So he's made the trip to Sunderland. But I feel that he's actually moving from one situation to another situation that's completely similar. Sunderland, of course, try to play with one striker up top, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Danny Graham to displace Stephen Fletcher from the team.
Yeah, especially. Exactly, Stephen Fletcher I think is definitely the first choice striker for Sunderland.
Yeah.
And I think Danny Graham made the wrong decision. I think Swansea are progressing steadily in the league.
Yeah.
I'd probably bet on
League Cup final.
Exactly. I'd probably bet on them to win that League Cup final.
Yeah.
Not making any absolute predictions though. You never know with Bradford City now.
Absolutely.
But I'd probably say that they will probably win, and therefore they'll be appearing in Europe next season, assuming they win. That is. So I think Danny Graham's made the wrong decision. Sunderland aren't a small club by any stretch of the imagination. They've got a good manager, they've got a decent setup, a good owner, but I think he might probably not be getting much playing time there, and I think he should have stuck with Swansea.
Well, another player who we actually saw a bit of yesterday, Emmanuelson, moving to Fulham. for him signing him in the January transfer window. What do you make of him?
Oh, well, AC Milan letting Emmanuelson go, which I thought was a mistake because Emmanuelson is a very he's a utility player. He can play at left back, he can play in the left midfield, he can play in central midfield, in central defensive midfield. And if you look at it, AC Milan could really use. I mean, they've got superstars now. They signed Balotelli, El Shaarawy is playing really well. Bunch of young players coming up, but you need someone waiting in the wings who can step up for pretty much any player who gets injured. And that player I thought was Emmanuelson. I think it's a great signing for Fulham, particularly since it's on loan, so there's no transfer fee involved. And I think he could really help them out in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. Well, Arsenal are actually making a signing finally. We've been discussing them throughout the actual activity. And Kieran Gibbs actually getting injured in the game versus Liverpool, and now Arsenal finally signing Nacho Monreal from Sevilla for 8.5 million euros, I think it was.
Yeah, 8.5 million exactly. And I think after Kieran Gibbs got injured, I think Arsene Wenger had a look at his team sheet and realized that Andres Santos was the only left back he could play.
Yeah, I think he relished the prospect of Santos facing Ribery in the Champions League. Nacho Monreal is going to be cup tied as well, so maybe Vermaelen will switch out.
Yeah, but I think more than that, Arsene Wenger just got so scared that Andres Santos was his only option. He literally just went up to a scout and said, find me the next best left back I can sign. And his scout came back with Nacho Monreal. Now, if you look at Nacho Monreal, he's a good player. I wouldn't say he's a great player.
Yeah.
Like Ashley Cole, Leighton Baines, these are good left backs, great left backs. And I think he's not of that pedigree, but I'd go as he's the second choice left back for Spain, the international team. And I think he could fit in well at Arsenal. I think he's a decent defender, he's good at attacking, he's pacey, and he can cross the ball very well. So I'm looking forward to see how he plays off at Arsenal.
Yeah, and Stoke signing Jack Butland actually, young and exciting prospect really, not just for club but also for country, for England. And what did you make of that signing?
Well, Butland was a bit of a mystery, to be honest. I didn't know much about him until I heard that Chelsea were planning to sign him. And then I heard that Chelsea had bid for him and Birmingham accepted the bid. And then Butland said no to Chelsea, which really shocked me because if you look at it, Chelsea, despite their struggles, despite their bad management, both in terms of ownership and managerialship, are still a great club, and I think any player will relish a chance to play at Chelsea. It's a bit odd why Butland rejected him and then opted to move to Stoke, which I'm not saying they're a bad team. I think Stoke are a great team. They've got a great manager, a great setup as well. And still credit to Butland. I think he's signed for perhaps a lesser team in the hopes that he can develop there, get some regular playing time, and then move up to the bigger leagues.
Well, there's possibly, of course, of Begovic being signed by the club's got transfer speculation linking him. So Butland may be having one eye on the future and thinking he'll take over that number one spot when Begovic decides to leave Stoke City. So perhaps a good move in terms of his career.
Definitely, I think best of luck to Jack Butland. I'm looking forward to seeing him pull on an England jersey sooner or later.
Right. Moving on now to our special feature, of course, of every week, the player salute. And this week we have Frank Lampard. AK, would you like to do it?
I would love to do it. I mean, I've been a huge fan of Frank Lampard for so long, despite him playing for one of the biggest rivals of my team. And scoring goals against us as well. I still find Frank Lampard to be an absolutely brilliant player. I don't care how old he is. I don't care how much money he commands. He deserves it. If you look at Lampard, he scored against Newcastle yesterday, taking his tally to 10 league goals for the season. An amazing fact, he's now scored 10 goals in the past 10 seasons. At least 10 goals, that is. Absolutely incredible. If you look at that level of consistency in this era of football, where change is the most consistent thing you have, and then you can rely on a player to chip in with at least 10 goals a season every season is just a boon to any manager. Well, we all know a lot about Frank Lampard, signed from West Ham by Chelsea by Claudio Ranieri back in, I think, 2003 or 2004. He scored 197 goals in 587 games for Chelsea, which is just a blistering number, along with 130 assists.
Wow.
I mean, this guy is all about goals. And that's from midfield, by the way. He isn't even a striker. It's just fabulous what he does. 26 goals in 93 appearances for England, and he'll probably be able to reach the 100 appearance mark, I would think. He was also the Ballon d'Or runner-up in 2005. And if you look at Frank Lampard's career, I think he's pretty much done everything you could. He's big, and I think he's one of Chelsea's greatest legends, I would say.
And one more thing, apart from all of this, an excellent penalty taker, and something that's rare in today's game.
Definitely, yes. I think with Frank Lampard, a penalty miss is as rare as Fernando Torres scoring a goal. Yeah, but Frank Lampard, and I think more than that, he's a leader. It's quite simple. Is John Terry or Frank Lampard? These guys are the leaders of Chelsea, and I still think it's so baffling Chelsea are letting him go. I remember I was talking earlier about this in the show. about how they're just letting him go when his contract expires, I think is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
When you look at players like Paul Scholes and Ryan Giggs, who have rewarded their clubs for the loyalty by putting in performances every now and then just to show how much they respect their club. And I think Frank Lampard, just letting him go is a huge mistake, and I think Chelsea will definitely come to regret that in the seasons to come. Another interesting fact about Frank Lampard, he held the record for consecutive Premier League appearances with 164 games. Until he got injured in the warm-up for what would have been his 165 consecutive appearance. Yes, a little bit of a slice of bad luck, but if you look at Lampard, I think phenomenal player, so consistent, and hats off to Frank Lampard.
Indeed.
Alright, now we've got our next game against Everton at home, and we lost to Everton in the first game of the season. What are your predictions for this game, Annie?
Well, I think it's going to be another tough game. I remember talking before the Southampton game that we should be looking for 9 points before the Madrid fixture, and we've got 6 now, and hopefully we can complete that and win against Everton at home. We threw away a 2-goal lead against them last season, of course, 4-2, and then ended up 4-4.
Which was a big result.
That this time, I think our defense is much more solid. I'll go for a 2-1 to United.
Well, 2-1. I'd say that's a bit optimistic. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Manchester United. Our defense has really improved. Our attack has been getting it done week in, week out. But if you look at Everton, they've shown more than overachievement. They've shown a never die spirit this season. Yeah. Consistently getting late goals, causing upsets, beating the teams they're supposed to beat, getting draws here and there. But they're still in the contention for Champions League places. So I'll go ahead and say 1-1.
All right.
1-1.
Well, thanks for watching again, guys. And as we keep saying, please get involved in the show. If you'd like to comments on to Twitter or comments on the YouTube channel, what you want us to discuss, what you felt about the games. And please like us on Facebook and subscribe to our channel. And see you guys after the Everton game.
See you guys.